All right, we're here at the 2022 Goodguys car show at Texas Motor Speedway and debuting this 1970 Cutlass that we built at Grubbs Motorsports. It's been a long-term build. We've been on this for several years. It's like a lot of the projects we build, it started out just a restoration and now it's kind of turned into a over-the-top extreme build. So it's what we say checks all the boxes. It's pro touring, resto mod, pro street. It's got a little of everything. It's a full show car. Almost too nice to drive now, but it'll make a nice piece. So kind of starting at the back, it's got the Billet Specialties double bead locks. It's got a 12 bolt from Mosier Engineering. It's got a Rick's tank underneath it. Willwood brakes all the way around. We pretty well use their stuff exclusively. And rear end's narrowed 4 inches total. It's got a mini tub kit. 3-inch exhaust with cutouts. If you look back here, Jordan, you'll see something really cool in the back. We didn't want to see a lot of exhaust hanging down on the side profile of the car. So if you get up under there, you'll see Jeff took that exhaust and took it through the frame. We actually cut a hole in the frame and took it across, because otherwise with that 3-inch you were going to see all of it from the side, and I thought that might take away from the lines of the car. So everything's tucked up tight. This car came with original trumpets, is what they called them, on the exhaust tip. So we actually found, I think Vibrant had this deal here, but it used to be, you know, square. So we taper cut this, finished it out, so it's a 3-inch trumpet, because all the factory stuff is like 2 1/4, which would murder the horsepower on this thing. So we hand fitted those. Jeff built all the exhaust. It's TIG welded, ceramic coated. Check out this profile image here from the side view. This bumper originally was out to about here, and none of these gaps fit like this. So we took and shaved, cut this down, picture framed all the gaps on the bumper to make it fit. So probably 200 or 300 hours in the bumpers alone. It's got a roll cage with a bolt-in crossbar. Pullovers, it's got Viking double adjustables all the way around it, and it's also got a rocking stereo. So it's got a little bit of everything. Vintage air, overdrive, stereo. There's about 800 or 900 hours in that paint job. That's one of the last complete cars that I painted, and it's got a pretty cool color. It's an Audi color that we modified. You'll see it just looks gray at certain angles, and then it turns and it's got the pearl in it, so it's got a multicolored pearl. Did you get some of the interior? Inside, we kept the stock as stock as we could keep it, just so it, you know, stayed a Cutlass. This car is actually a W30 car, so some of the Oldsmobile purists might hate us for that, because we cut up a perfectly good, really rare original car, but I think we made it better, so it's okay. Original seats, recovered in ultra leather. Sean Cook out of Murphy, Texas did the interior. The wood, factory this car had metal panels where all the wood grain is around the gauges, console doors, and it had like a wood grain laminate over it. So we took it another step and actually had quarter sawn oak made out of actual wood planks, and then had it stained in a gray with a black underneath it. And that's where you see that tiger stripe there. You know, they call it tiger oak in the wood grain. But we thought we wanted it to match, because the other stuff was real red and just wouldn't play well with the gray and black. So original console, a couple custom touches. We got vintage air in there. You'll see it's their panel on the dash. Those are Dakota digital gauges. We pretty well use them exclusively as well. The paint job on this thing, like I said, you say, how do you get 800 hours? Well, it was actually a vinyl top car. So at all these locations here, there was just a giant ditch, and the same thing on the sail panel. So we had to weld metal in here. These didn't fit at all. So every bit of this was hand work, so that all the moldings fit flush and, you know, picture framed. On the paint job, I painted the whole car this gray color, cleared it in pieces, and we put the car together. I laid out all the graphics on the side, painted the black, ripped it apart, and cleared the whole car again. So there was a whole lot of paint booth time on this car. Added that 442 logo. That's an interesting last minute decision. We really weren't going to put that on the car. We kept thinking it was going to be too much or just stick out or be gaudy. And we'd kind of had a rendering done of it, and it looked good in the rendering. So Don, the owner, and myself looked at it and said, we're going to put it on there, and whether it looks good or not. And now I can't picture the car without it. So it turned out really good. Under the hood, you know, most guys probably would have put a LS twin turbo, and it probably would have been half the price of what this thing costs to do. But this is a big block Olds. Now there's really nothing Oldsmobile about it original, but it's got a rocket block that's aftermarket. It's got rocket cylinder heads. It's their latest design with their shaft rocker system, and it worked out really good. The kind of sad part of this story is the guys up in Oklahoma that built the sheet metal intake at Self Racing Engines, Kevin Self, he built that for us, and we said, man, the motor's already up there, so why don't you just go ahead and put the motor together? You've got all the pieces. So he built it, they dynoed it, brought it back, and we lost him to COVID and his father, I think late last year. So man, that was a huge loss to the racing community. He was a well-known NHRA winning, you know, drag racer, but really just an all-around good guy. So I feel bad about that he didn't get to see this car finished. So, but a couple things about it that's really unique is it's running a vacuum pump because it's such a big engine. That just keeps everything sealed up. You don't have to worry about it spitting the dipstick out or huffing oil out from all the windage. We adapted that to the CVF pulley system. But something else that you're not going to see probably on any car is this setup right here, which is the thermostat housing. The intake manifold doesn't actually have one, so it's got four-corner watering. You know, we plumbed all that into there, found a guy that builds this custom setup he's up in New York, New Jersey somewhere, but the thermostat's actually in here. And then this is a bypass, so what it can't force through here, it sends back around into the water pump. So that way it's not deadheading and it's always moving some water. So it's a pretty unique setup. We had a giant radiator built, big double pass, a place called Bell Radiators out of, I think they're down around San Antonio. They built that for us, and the car just runs as cool as you want it to. So I do want to say that this build, if you still got me on, big shout out to my guys that work at the shop, man. You know, you hear me mention Jeff's name a lot, but it was, you know, he did a ton of the fab and assembly. Troy did most of the body work and metal work. Really everybody in the shop contributed in some way on this car, and it's been a long, slow build with a lot of changes, but at the end of the day, man, it's right on all the way. So we're happy with it, customers happy with it, and everybody that's here, man, they're stopping in their tracks looking at it, because you just don't see that many Oldsmobiles done to this level. So it's a great team of guys that I get to work with every day that, you know, that are also my friends.